mom gave me like the desk calendar and the thing that holds the little pieces of paper and the markers. So that's probably who we have to blame for this. And I used to play Office. So, and I had employees and stuff, I should have known the writing was on the wall. But fast forward to adulthood, my husband and I will celebrate our 17th year anniversary next Saturday. For the entire time we have been dating and married, I think I've seen him less than 50% of the time. Yes, we come from a military area, but he is not military. So that's usually the assumption we get, is that he's gone all the time because of the military. But currently, going on almost 3 years, he has lived in St. Louis, and I am in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So we are exactly 1,000 miles apart on the opposite end of Interstate 64. Our children are 15 and a half-ish and almost 13. And so I am like in the stage of life right now where I am a mom taxi. Anybody understand that? Oh, yeah. Okay, so I also did Pampered Chef for the first 8 years, working another job along with this, and like trying to like decide if I wanted to go to grad school, and kind of had a quarter life crisis about 25, and didn't really love my full-time career. And I found Pampered Chef at the same time I started kind of going to grad school. Added a couple kids to that, added a different mortgage to that, life changed. I broke my leg when our first kid was really young. I went and then got pregnant with the second kid, went into labor at a show. And the next year, my kid got at a show. So
It was
about challenges.
It was not a good depiction of what really happened, but it was a good one. Yeah.
You know, and I strongly believe you will make something work for you when you want it enough. So now that our kids are older and I am the only driver, I try to use that time really effectively, because one, when the kids are in the car, I will not take phone calls, I will not do coaching calls, I will not answer host calls, because my children are more chatty in the car these days than they were when they were like, you know, playing with I don't know, something in their hand. So I get information out about who do they like, or what sports they do, you know, that kind of stuff. So I try to keep that time sacred.
Yeah, if they're talking to you.
And so what in the flip side of that, when we get to the practice, that's when I do coaching calls, that's when I do host coaching, that's when I use those little pockets like Randy Lynn was talking about. So that's a little bit about that. So what that has led to is that I have to become a bag lady, right? And I always have some kind of bag with me. Now the bag, like, I left my other bigger bag at home because I didn't need like mini catalogs and envelopes and stuff like that to come here. But what I've been utilizing here recently is, you know, sending out mini catalogs, and so I have all that in that bag. I did not need that today. So I have a couple other things in here. I'll be like Mary Poppins and pull them out later. So one thing I wanted to bring up is that a lot of people assimilate me with tech savvy, and I want you to understand that everyone in here is tech savvy. Okay, if you're running a virtual business, you are tech savvy. What really, I guess, gets me when somebody says, well, I'm not tech savvy, so I can't do that. You can do that. Whatever it is, you can do that. So it's not about what you can and cannot do, it's about your willingness to learn. So what I tell people a lot, especially back in the day, we went from P3 to beta.
Oh, girl.
Who remembers that?
Girl.
Okay. So when we did that, well, I'm not tech savvy, so I can't, you know, I can't switch to beta. You can if you just start clicking around a little bit more. So what Dash has really taught us is that if you click around, you will learn a lot. So that's what I tell people. You will not hurt the Pampered Chef website if you click around. Okay, go ahead and look at all that, right? Play with the dash. And you know what dash stands for? Doing awesome stuff here.
Hey!
I hashtag that sitting in general session. Doing awesome. The S meaning different things, but I'm just going to say stuff because we're being recorded. Okay, so one thing is, because our life is so kind of up in the air, and I have kids that play sports, and we change sports in the seasons, and you know, we're in a different period of our life than when they were 3 and 5. That was a different manageable. My mother has always said life doesn't get easier, it just
busier.
gets different. So when you're in this stage, I was talking to somebody else who has like a 1-year-old. You think that is so hard when you have a 1-year-old, right? And then you have a 15-year-old, okay? And then they throw themselves, Mom, You know, so those of you who follow me on Facebook, I had to take the router this summer with me to the water park. You know, I take the phone away. I make him walk home when he pisses me off. Like, you know, I keep telling the 15-year-old, your sister is getting there. Just give her some time. Okay? So I don't like her better. So there is that. So when it comes to keeping a schedule, I think I left it in here. I have 2 calendars. Okay, so one is a paper calendar that I make myself. Because every time, you know, back to the young years, I would go to Office Max or wherever we would, you know, when we upgraded from Roses and we got to go to Office Max as we got older, and I could pick out my own stuff, I would flip every planner in there. And I still have like all my planners from middle school. I told my daughter, who I'm creating into a mini-me, that she could look at all of them because I'd write down like what I wore that day. You know, I was that person. You know, when you have an A-B schedule, like we have block schedule, you don't want to wear the same thing on the same A day the next week. So, you know, things became color-coded. And I did that too. So if you take a look, I'll let you guys look at this during lunch or whatever. But one thing that I really wanted was a calendar that started on Monday.
I thought I was crazy.
Every calendar you look at the store is like got Sunday over here by itself, and then you got Monday through Friday, and then you got Saturday and Sunday. That's not how my brain works. My brain works Monday through Thursday is one block, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday is another block. So when I worked full time, I was, you know, basically I'd always book on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I got to the point, because I would show up late or show up really early, that I had to make sure that the day of the week, the party was always at the same time. So if I'm doing a cooking show Monday through Friday, your show is usually 6, sometimes I have to do 6:30. But Saturday I do a 10 a.m. and a 6 p.m. and on Sunday I do a 2. So now that my children are older and they understand this, they'll say, well, do you have a show today? They'll see me packing, yes, I have a show today. Well, what time are you leaving? Look at the calendar. So they now know at their age that if it's on Sunday, I'm probably going to leave at 1 to be there at 1:30 or a little late, and then get there so the party can start at 2, and you better have your chores done by 5 or you're going to be in trouble. So I may send you to, you know, your room without food or something. I've never done that actually, but that was one thing. So I use a calendar called Cozy on my phone, C-O-Z-I, and it allows me to color code the same way I color code my paper calendar. And the kids can access that. My husband and I can access that. Everybody has their own color. Plus, I have like a other color that's just called other, because you're always doing something for somebody else. You know, so like, you know, when my mom was going through chemo, I would put her appointments in the other color so that we would know. And you know, when it comes to my calendar, I just like to be able to see Monday through Thursday one block, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the other. And I sit with it a lot like this at my desk, or open like this. So the other thing that I just added is I kind of copied this from other people that I see, is I made a second page, so when I open it up like that, I have some to-dos over here that are regular, that are repeating. As a leader with Pampered Chef, there are things that I need to do for my team, like I like to post their birthday on the team page when it's their birthday. So that's something that I want to make sure I run at the beginning of the month to schedule all that and send share. You know, things, I put my shows in there. I have little blocks to symbolize how many shows that I want. Then that way I can write their name in and then color it in when I submit that show. So it's just a couple of things that over the years I have tweaked because of my goals have always changed. The goal went from submitting enough to make a car payment to making sure I can make the mortgage if something happens to the husband. So hopefully life insurance will cover that. But you know, it's just that this is just the way my brain works. And it's the only way I know how to function. So I did go from, I tried the weeklies, I tried the daily calendars, I would use them for like, you know, a good 2 weeks, and then the pages were just wasted. So that's why I strictly went to a monthly calendar that I write everything in a color and take care of it that way. So also with the app Cozy, C-O-Z-I, is that I put a shopping list in there. And this is just kind of just for life, not necessarily Pampered Chef, but like you guys know that you hit Kroger, we have a Kroger, like you hit the grocery store for some groceries, you hit the Target and Walmart for other stuff, and then you have to go to Office Max or Sharpies. So you have to have different things. So I make a master list for those things in my life so that I'm not wandering around the grocery store. I make that time effective, that I can just hit the grocery store for what exactly I need and get out. The kids also know that they need to go in there and unclick stuff, hopefully, usually not, but they go in there and unclick if we're like out of bread. So my son like eats like 6 sandwiches a day. It's crazy. So that just helps me streamline my life because we are so busy. So when I switched from working a day job to working at Pampered Chef full time, life had to change. Things had to change. And when I worked, like Randy said, she had a drawer in her office that has Pampered Chef stuff. I did the same thing. And my boss would go home at like 2 or 3, and then I would do Pampered Chef stuff while he was gone. But then my son was also in speech therapy, so I needed stuff that I could take with me because he was in speech therapy, but I wasn't allowed to leave the room. I had to stay in the lobby or whatever, so I needed something to do in that time. And I would take all my door price slips with me because I was doing mostly cooking. I had physical pieces of paper. So now that time has changed, I don't necessarily have physical pieces of paper all the time. So you have to kind of, get what you want. Do you like to do both? Do you only want to do one? Do you want a big back calendar in your kitchen with dry erase markers or whatever? You have to know. Another thing I do calendar-wise is I set a lot of alarms on my phone. I've heard many alarms go off today because they forgot to shut them off. So right now with my son swimming Tuesdays and Thursday mornings at 5 a.m., the alarm has to go off at 4:20 for us to get up and get moving. Today it went off accidentally because it's a Saturday swim day and I have to pick him up at 10 and it went off at 9:38, so I knew to have my honey in the car. So having alarm set does also help. So that is one thing that I absolutely love about the phone. Now, also with being on the go, I love the app Evernote. So if you see me post anything, it usually has an Evernote attached to it. So back, when we started kind of getting on Facebook groups, everything was in Dropbox, and if somebody accessed your Dropbox and accessed your document, then they would change it, and then you would be mad that your document was changed, and change it back, blah, blah, blah. With Evernote, when you have a document and you share it with somebody, they can't edit yours. So I like that I can share with my team anything that I've created or copied mostly, that they can edit it on their own. Evernote also creates a hyperlink for every single note that you make. So envision with me a trapper keeper. Whoever had a trapper keeper wanted. I know, where was Amy? Amy was too old, too young.
One of the girls at last night.
She's not here. We had to do that with her. Anyway, so think about Evernote's trapper keeper. It's one big binder, and in there are notebooks or sections that I just organized. And I kind of organized them like my hard drive used to be organized in the day. So I had like a folder called host, and a folder called guest, and a folder called recipes, and a folder called team building, and a folder called this and that. So my Evernote is kind of organized the same way. The way you organize yours may not be the same way I organize mine. That's okay. So one of the things that I put in my Evernote are things that I commonly have to access. And being on the go, I don't want to have to wait till I get home to email an attachment and do all that nonsense. So with Evernote, I've got one of my biggest folders, it's just recipes. So back in the day, we didn't have access to a recipe unless like one of my first shows, my director had to photocopy the recipe and snail mail it to me because it was from like All the Best, right? Yep. So now you can go on the website and just type it in. I break down all my recipes that I do at shows into station style. So I have a separate notebook called Recipes SSS for Station Style Show. So my team has access to that, where all of my customers have access to the 300 plus recipes that I've copied from all of you to put in there. I'm also the unofficial keeper of all the e-cookbooks. So if you've seen my name anywhere, it's usually attached to the Quick Cooker recipes, the Cooking Blender recipes, the Certificate Cooker recipes. I just keep copying and pasting all of that. You guys come up with it, I'll copy and paste it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so that is one thing that makes my life easier. So when you're out and about, yes, like Randy said, like you get that red notification, you want to answer immediately. Sometimes I do, sometimes I try to hold off, but it's easy if I have it right there at my fingertips. So everybody always asks me, do I have the paid for version of Evernote? I didn't upgrade until I taught it at conference. So I just used the free version. And think about Evernote as kind of like your cell phone plan. You get so much bandwidth a month, and then it resets on the next month. So your month could be different from my month. If you're downloading a lot of notes that have a lot of pictures, they are bigger than just words. So I don't put like my facial party outline in an Evernote because the pictures are big and then they take up too much space. A lot of mine is just words. One thing that I use a lot is when a host says, how do I put in my order? I do not put in host orders. That takes, when they're flipping the page and they're like, well, what do you think about this on page 12? I don't know. Can you just do your host order? So I was like, I got Netflix to do. Just pick out your host order. Okay, so what I do is I kind of like logged in as myself and came up with step by step what it looks like. So I did take a couple screenshots. And so every time on my phone, this kind of goes along with text replacement. When I type the words host dash, this link comes up, and it is, when they click on it, it's all the instructions on how they enter their host order. So that is one thing that I don't have to do. Sometimes they're a little slower. It's okay. And I'll have to walk them through it again, or, but that is one that I use all the time, especially in my individual host coaching with my host. When I say, oh, your show has reached 200, you now can start putting in some host benefits. Here's how to do it, host dash, and it puts out the whole link. So going in that same thread is text replacement. I have an Evernote on this. If you search my name, you'll find it. But this is something I learned from somebody else at another retreat in March. There are certain things that you can go into if you have an Apple phone, I know this more so than I know on an Android, you'll have to Google that. But on an Apple phone, in your keyboard, so it's like general, then keyboard, and then there's a thing called text replacement. You can just type like a short phrase, like mine is host dash, all one word. And when you text, and then you put underneath it the whole thing you want it to say. So one of my favorites is I do TYORD, which stands for thank you for your order. It's just a short, so anytime I type that in a message, this whole paragraph drops out that says, thank you so much for your order. My name is Tiffany. I'm your consultant, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I got it from somebody else. I totally copied that from somebody else. Okay, so I have a video on how to do that too. But that is so easy when you're on the go. And so my method is when the order comes in via email, I am on direct ship, but you should get an email too when you're not. As soon as the order comes in, I copy the phone number, paste it into a text message, and hit TYORD, and the whole thing pops up. So I don't have to remember what I said in the previous thank you or scroll for all these technologies to find it, copy and paste it. I just type in that short phrase, and you can do anything. Like I have on there my Addy, which is my physical address. I have something that just says my web. It's all one word, but it comes out pamperedchef.com/biz/Tiffany and Foreman. Like anything that you have to type over and over and over again, make it a shortcut on your keyboard on your phone, because you're all on your phone right now anyway, right? So that just makes it really easy. Like right now, if I write the word cat link, it's not for my cats. You guys know I have 5, right? It's not for my cats. It's the catalog link. Okay, it's the one to the online thing, so that I don't have to remember the whole long whatever, or go to my website and then click this and click that to get that whole long link. You've got to make things short and fast. I'm in kind of a, I told you guys last night, I'm like between the Gen Xers and the millennials, so we're like the millennials or something. So I like the instant gratification, but I kind of had to work for it to get there. So I just want to be fast and easy and effective. So another thing that I do is, because I come from a background of accounting, I went to school for accounting, worked in a Big 5 firm for a while. I love spreadsheets. Like even in college, I would track things in spreadsheets, like who paid the electric bill last or whatever. I just love spreadsheets. And even if you don't understand how to make a spreadsheet, you can make a chart on a piece of paper, with lines. You can get a ruler out. And just having spreadsheets for different things really helps me with my job. So I remember when I kind of started, everybody would kind of like do a binder, and I was like, binders are big. Tell me what I need. So I don't want a piece of paper for everybody. I want to put everybody on one piece of paper. So I found this cool little thing. I've seen them in different colors, but it's got 4 or 5 pocket folders in them. And so I just kind of slide different things in there. So one thing I always have in the front is like my current virtual parties and my current cooking party. So I have just one piece of paper, and you could do one for the month, you could do one for the week. You could, if you're running 47 parties, you might need more than 3 pieces of paper. But down the side, I have the hostesses' names, and across the top, I have my tasks. So sometimes you can be sitting at your desk or your computer or whatever, and like create a bunch of shows at one time, right? So then I can go check, 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 check. Because who doesn't love to check something off or cross it off? It feels so good when you do that. So that's
feels
how that
so
was
good to
born.
accomplish.
And,
You're like, yes.
I found, floating around is when Steve was talking about how he runs virtual parties and he does this host coaching. I didn't want to have one long Word document that I had to kind of go up and down in to find what I needed to host coach that day on somebody, because even though you're trying to do it on the same day, one host might not get back to you, so they may be like a couple hours behind or above. So I kind of just numbered like the slots at the top, 1, 2, 3, whatever. And then my steps in Evernote are labeled 1, 2, 3. So I don't have to remember what it is. So if it's like, say, task 6 is the host challenge, that's
why I haven't done.
I can just go, item 6, check that off, because I went ahead and sent it to her. So I also have that in an Evernote and a video on that you guys can have. But it just makes it really easy to track stuff if I have a chart. That's just how my brain works, is to have everything kind of dumbed down in a chart. And it can even be like, did you create the show? Yes. Did you add send share? Yes. Did you add your host as an admin? Yes. Like, you can take it down to as much detail as you want. Like, did you batch the party if you're using send share? Yes. Did you send we were talking about this last night, your past host may not have even been invited. Did you send her a notification that she gets a half hour? Everything that you do for that party, whether it's a virtual or cooking, write it down. And then make yourself a system. So my system may not be what yours, but I always take other people's systems and kind of mesh it with the way my brain works. And then it may not work like I'm always constantly changing what I'm doing, and I may shift things on the day, but I still have a list of some kind. Because I know I have a really good memory. I can tell you what I was wearing the day I met my husband. But I cannot remember if I sent that message or not yesterday. Because we have so much going on in our brains and we're trying to juggle. Somebody recently said you're like the frontal lobe of the household, like your brain, the mom brain. Sorry if there's any guys, you guys probably have dad brain or whatever. But you have to kind of control, you're the control center of everything that goes on, especially with my husband not living there. Like I had to send him a message yesterday that said, make sure Mia eats strawberries because they might go bad. Like he doesn't know what I bought at the grocery store. I don't bore him with that kind of information. But just things like that you just take for granted that you take care of. So another thing that I really like that I learned at another retreat is a bullet journal. And you can buy what's called a bullet journal, but I just went to the craft store and found a cute little I love notebooks. Do you guys know what color is my favorite?
No.
Okay, because you know what my name is, right? So it kind of matches the blue boxes. Anyway, so with this, what's that? Yes, I know. That's because exec is like teal, and then UED is like aqua, and I like them both. So. I'm not loving this navy blue right now, so we need to make some changes. But in the front cover, I basically took and made myself a table of contents. That was something that was mind-blowing for me, because I used to keep a notebook and write down everything, but then I couldn't remember what page it was on. So if you break it down into a table of contents in the notebook itself, then you can find where you put it. So like my simple table of contents is section 1 is bookings, right? Because bookings is the basis of our business. Section 2 is recruit lead. Section 3 is customer care. Section 4 is donations or vendor events or things like that I'm doing. Section 5 is what I'm doing with my team. Like I'm usually running a director bound or a 6 weeks of success or a Rockstar on the Rise program. Next section is team meetings, things I need to remember for team meetings. And then my last section right now is thank you notes or things that I'm mailing. So I literally just put little tabs on there. And this notebook did have actually little breaks in the seam, so I kind of could follow pages, and I literally numbered all the pages. So I just sat there one day in the car and just numbered them all. So I can go in here at any given time and say, oh, okay, so right now, because my son goes to swim Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 a.m., what are you supposed to do at 5 a.m.? I mean, the only thing open is Walmart, and I don't really like Walmart. So I've been sitting here and I mailed fall mini catalogs. I mailed enrichable samples. I did thank you postcards for my hosts. I just sent them a quick, because who doesn't like getting something in the mail that's fun? And then I also, Lisa Noto's guilt letter that floats around. I have that on a postcard. I just printed it on cardstock. It's 4-to-1 page and I can cut it myself. And so I'll mail that out too. So I wrote myself notes because even though I think I'm going to remember, I'm not going to remember. So also what I mailed for my team is their qualification gifts because I think I'm going to remember and I don't. So writing something down. So yes, I could do this electronically, but I just chose, I like the notebook and I love my pens. And I love the color code, so I couldn't just choose one Sharpie.
Do you see this?
I had to bring a bunch. And I love all sorts of different, Sharpies are definitely one of my faves, but I do love Friction. The Friction are the erasable pens, and there you go, I love that notebook. Friction are the erasable pens and the highlighters so that I can go and color code and and that stuff I can erase and it looks pretty. But I love, that's just my personality. All right, so let me go back to my notes here. Okay, so notebook so you don't forget. All right, in my downtime versus income producing activity, I really like to nap and watch Netflix. That needs to be scheduled in. So do not call me between 1 and 3 or 2 and 4, depending on the day. Because I will not answer you. I will be napping. Or I'm just shutting my brain down and Netflixing or something like that. Maybe folding laundry. I make my kids do that now actually. Because I need my brain to reset. Those of you, one minute, okay, is that I just take that time, like Randy was saying, take that time for yourself to reset your brain. And that's just how I function, is I nap in the middle of the day. And so I can function. I can do really good work between 9 and 12, and then again later at night when people are on Facebook, 8 to 10. Yeah. So I just want to quickly touch base on one other thing about team trainings, because I think that will keep you all organized and in the group of your business is I still run a in-home team meeting every month.
Same.
Okay, regardless if I have one person or if I have 10 people, I will forever have a meeting in my house. I was raised in that era, and so I love the team camaraderie. If you cannot physically be there, maybe your director offers Zoom. I do for all my out-of-town people. We also have an every other week happy half hour, some kind of a Zoom training on every other Monday night, and I really encourage my consultants to be there because I don't want to be answering questions all the time. So I try to get them in that one little period of time. Those of you who are doing coaching calls with your team, I really like the app it's not an app, it's a website, Calendary, I think it is. And so I block 15-minute segments and actually buffers you for another 15, so it gives you 30-minute segments. And I use that. I really encourage my team to call me at their lunchtime, like schedule it at their lunchtime, because I need to take a nap later. And then I strongly believe in teaching consultants to fish. So if you are a brand new consultant, I try to keep them from going to all the 47 different groups that are on Facebook and looking at what everybody else is doing, because it will seriously overwhelm you. And don't go over to the virtual party page and say, what's the guest special this month? Okay, look for it yourself. So on my team page, we have units. And so I've been putting things, trying to organize things more so in units. So that they can find everything, because everything is out there for you to find for the most part. Yes, you don't have to memorize everything because it's really overwhelming to remember what the lifetime guarantee is on every product or the 3-year or whatever. I don't memorize that kind of stuff, but you can find it. You just gotta look for it a little bit. So take your system, make it your own, buy a colored pen, and have some fun with your business.
Yay!